Yo, what's cracking, everybody? It's your boy Dominic, aka Dom the Cyber Genius, and I'm coming back to you guys with another video. This video is going to be about a cyber threat intelligence report, specifically on how Europol actually seized a cybercrime group for their business email compromise attack. So let's get started and let's get to it. So, as you see on the left, this is my cyber threat intelligence report. Starting out, the Europol law enforcement, as well as some other countries that I'm going to get into, have seized or dismantled a cybercrime group that's based out of Israel. And the group goes by CEO fraud. The reason why they go by this is because of their initial attack vector. That is because they actually deploy business email compromise attacks. For those that don't know what that is, a business email compromise attack is when a threat actor is able to compromise someone's account. Usually they try to go after someone that has a lot of privileges or someone that's high in the corporate scale. So like more of the bosses, the managers, the CEOs, those type of people, but they also go for regular employees as well. But what they do is they actually compromise their accounts and then they send messages from that account pretending to be the person they actually compromised or affected. And their main goal is to get the person that got sent that message or email to do the task that the threat actor is actually posing as the other person to do. So sorry if I kind of said that all weird or whatever, but just to summarize it up, they're sending emails on the behalf of the user, and they're getting the other users that are interacting with them to do detrimental things to the company's infrastructure. So that's kind of what a business email compromise attack is. What these attacks allow the actual threat actor to do is to divert payments from organizations and to bank accounts that are actually under their control. So where they were able to get funds from multiple organizations, and then those funds were able to get transferred to a lot of bank accounts that were under the threat actor's actual control. Just from one organization alone, this kind of startled me, but they said the group was able to exfiltrate and steal over, I think that's 38 million euros, which is equivalent to 40.3 million USD. Quote me if I'm wrong, if this is what I'm highlighting is it euros or not, but I think that's what it is. And they were only able to do that within a few days. So the company imagine if the actual third actor group was bigger, or they had more time, or they wanted to include more time. They probably could have stole close to 50 to 75 to maybe even 100 million if they, had a week or two to actually do what they needed to do. Multiple countries were, in fact, a part of dismantling this actual cybercrime group. And those law enforcements for those said countries were to be Europol, like how I said, France, Croatia, Bulgaria, Portugal, and I believe the Spanish police forces were all played their part. The initial tag vector, like how I said, was started with the criminals actually impersonating CEOs, and they would approach different employees and the target organization, but the employees they were actually specifically approaching were the ones that were in the financial department. Why? Because it's money, dollars, bread, dinero, chicken. That's what they want. That's what a lot of these threat actors want. They want money. They really don't want nothing else. It's either they want money, they want to get back at a company because they fired them or something happened, or it's a political attack. And because that company is maybe pro this or is against the company that threat act or against the country that threat actor is from, then that's why they'll conduct these types of attacks. But a lot of them are financially motivated, and that was the case for this attack right here. Um, they were actually able to convince some of the employees and some of the victims to actually send payments to bank accounts that were under their control. I don't know what they probably did. I don't know what let me scroll down. I don't know what they were actually able to do when it comes to that stuff. They were probably telling them to make wire transfers to certain things or telling them to do this and that. And since it came from the CEO, obviously the victims, since they're not persuaded on what is it, education and awareness for cybersecurity, then they're most likely going to do it, right? Obviously, it's going to be a lot harder if you see an email get sent from a CEO that you know that's the right email from. You have to be cautious and you have to be thorough when it comes to looking at what they're actually sending and how they're sending it, right? They're not just going to randomly ask you, hey, give me money or do something like that, like out of the random. The best thing you can always do is if you're feel uncomfortable with something, go up to the CEO in person if you have the luxury to do that, or if you know work within the company and they're actually physically there, or try to, I don't know, call them, or if you have that type of leeway and I guess wiggle room to do that. But as far as that, I wanted to get into the TTPs, tax attack tactics, techniques, and procedures. First one is reconnaissance. Big one right here, fishing for information, gather victim identity information. They posed as the CEO. They were able to send these fraudulent messages because they took over the CEO's accounts. And that's how they were able to gather the money from the organizations. Persistence, this is just maintaining a foothold. They were able to do it just off one company, just in a couple of days. They were able to get off $40.3 million worth of USD. So that already says it right there. Account manipulation, didn't really see too much about accounts. It was more of just being able to manipulate the user into sending over the funds into bank accounts that are controlled by the threat actor. Lateral movement. This is probably the biggest thing here because it is a business email compromise attack and it's internal spear phishing, right? Because they were able to compromise the CEO's account and then send messages pretending to be them in order to get the company to do stuff that's detrimental to their infrastructure. They specifically targeted the financial employees and the employees that were in the financial department. That's where the spear phishing comes into play. That's really the big difference between regular phishing and spear phishing. Who you're actually targeting. As far as this case, that we're trying to target the financial employees. So that's where internal spear phishing really comes in. Exfiltration, so exfiltration over C2 channel. I don't really know why I put this. I think just because it's a cyber attack and a lot of them have to have some type of way to like exfiltrate the money, right? Obviously, they're getting the money sent to a bank account that's under the attacker's control. But I know the attackers have to exfiltrate or get that money out somehow without making it look suspicious. So they probably had some form of a C2 channel, not necessarily affecting people with malware, but more as being able to be sneaky and get the money out of their accounts that they stole. Next, if initial access, I got valid accounts, phishing, trusted relationships. Trusted relationships, they pretended to be the CEO. That's what got them in. Phishing, they again pretended to be the CEO, sent these type of messages, got them to actually send the funds. And then valid accounts, abusing those accounts that have those high funds, and they're able to get that money out and steal millions of dollars. Privilege escalation. This is just exploitation for privilege escalation, valid accounts. They're trying to, they were able to get into the CEO's account. So that right away stays privilege escalation because they know CEOs have a lot of power and they know that if they have access to that account, they may have access to other things within the company system to affect everyone as a whole. Resource development. So compromise accounts develop capabilities. They were able to develop the capabilities, not necessarily malware, but they were able to develop an actual campaign to target these financial employees to get them to send money under a bank account that's under the attacker's control. And then defense evasion, I put masquerading because they're not really masquerading any links or any like files to make it look real. They're more masquerading their identity and making them seem like, hey, I'm the CEO, but in reality, I'm not. I just broke into the CEO's account and I got access, and now I'm tricking you into giving me money. So that's kind of what I put masquerading. Next, affecting assets and organizational impact. Like how I said again, these business email compromise attacks are very common for threat actors. This allows them to try and exfiltrate a large amount of money or other things that they may want to take from an organization. Scammers tend to impersonate, employees whose accounts they already compromised, and then they try to convince or lure them other to try and lure them or lure other individuals within the company to commit fraudulent acts. I just wanted to state what the BEC um, compromise or attack really is, and just for a review that if you guys needed to review again. And just to put it into context, the real affected asset was that one company. I didn't see what company was affected, but they were saying in a couple of days, 38 mil. That is crazy just in a couple days. Like 38 million without it being like looked at crazy. That's so much money in just a short amount of time. I don't know how it went over their heads. I don't know how they're able to exfiltrate the bread out. It's crazy to think. Now get into the last part, mitigation and response. So Europol and multiple other countries, like how I said, all their law enforcement put a big part in seizing this operation. During the process of cracking them down, law enforcement performed 8 house searches. So they actually physically went out, searched for these people, and were able to get some of them actually arrested. They seized vital electronic equipment that was used for conducting the campaign, as well as cars, and they froze the bank accounts of the threat actors. This also allowed them to seize the money within their account. So luckily, a good thing they were able to seize some of the money that the threat actors had actually exfiltrated. They did say that was a total of 5 million euros or 5.1 million euros and another 350,000 in digital assets. So that's a good thing. It's not all of it, but at least it's a start, and they were able to stop them from actually spending more of the money. The police did arrest 8 suspects behind the operation, including the leader of the group, yes, who was based out of Israel. Overall, the recent law enforcement operation took over 5 days to complete from January 22 and January 2023. They actually said the reason why they got caught was because they were flexing. They were trying to act hard, and they were flexing the money and spending it on a bunch of luxury stuff as well as houses and all this other thing. So that's one of the reasons why they said they got caught. So that's it for my report. It's kind of good and bad to see. It's bad in the sense that they were able to steal so much money in a short period of time, but it is a little bit on the good side that the law enforcement were able to actually take back the money or some of it, and they were able to kind of put a stop to this organization. I don't know how big the organization is, but they're able to at least get the leader and 7 other members. So that's probably going to be detrimental and cause the cybercrime group to either stop operations or put a halt on their motives for a while. So that's really it for my report. Hope you guys learned something today. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see next. I'm coming with the content all 2023. I'm coming for heads. We will not stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Let's get it. Let's be great today. Let's go. And I'm out. Peace.